If you run Openclaw, you are probably worried about how to keep an eye on what is going on. What is it doing? How many tokens are being used? What do they cost? And where is that cost going to? This video teaches you how to use Alloy, Prometheus and Grafana to have Openclaw push metrics and give you the visibility you've been missing. In the future, we will cover logs and traces, so be sure to help by liking this video. So the main prerequisite is to have Openclaw and Docker installed and running. We will configure Alloy and Prometheus to receive the metrics, enable the OpenTelemetry plugin, point Openclaw at the OpenTelemetry receiver, and finally see what Openclaw is doing under the hood with a useful dashboard. This is all brought to you by the power of OpenTelemetry, a standard for getting open source observability. Openclaw emits telemetry, Alloy receives HTTP or OTLP, patches metrics, and remotes right into Prometheus. No Prometheus script job is required, and we can then visualize using Grafana. Quick break before we open any files. If my videos help you, please subscribe. I may have promised my mother that I would hit 5,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and she has a great amount of faith in me. Now back to the video. The first thing we need is our Alloy, Prometheus and Grafana setup. Here you can see that we configure Alloy as the OTLP receiver, and it's listening for HTTP requests on port 4318. We've also configured Alloy to ingest metrics from Openclaw. It can receive using gRPC on port 4317 and HTTP on 4318, but we'll be using HTTP. To send metrics to Prometheus, we have a batch step and remote write configured. This is all the magic we need. In the Prometheus config, we really don't need to do too much. We don't need to add any scripts, as Alloy will push the metrics to Prometheus using the remote write endpoint. Now you may have noticed that all of this is running in Docker. It's important to note that the Prometheus endpoint is the URL of the container, not the localhost endpoint. Now back to the Docker compose file. Another important thing is that we need to configure Prometheus to enable remote writes. Without this configuration, Alloy cannot push metrics. Also note that Alloy exposes a UI on port 12345. We'll get to that soon. We also have config here that starts up a simple Grafana instance. Now what we need to do is run the entire stack. So now we have the pipeline to receive the metrics and visualize them, but there are no metrics being sent. It's time to configure Openclaw to export the metrics to Prometheus so we can visualize them. The first thing I need to do is modify my Openclaw config, which is at this file path. When I did this the first time, I mixed up where to put the diagnostics key, so beware. The OpenTelemetry block belongs under a new diagnostics key, not under this plugin diagnostics hotel, which is why I made a mistake the first time. Now we can enable the plugin and restart the Openclaw gateway. So now I told Openclaw to tell me a story, which should generate some considerable tokens and traffic. While Openclaw is telling me a story, after a minute or two, we should start to see some real Openclaw traffic. So let's check Prometheus for metrics. I can see some metrics coming in already. So most of the metrics start with Openclaw. So if you just type in Openclaw, Prometheus autocomplete should help you. So by default, and at the time of taking this video, Openclaw exports some of the metrics shown on your screen. In the future, we'll talk about what you should really be monitoring, as that's beyond the scope of this video. Cool, so 5 minutes have passed. Now let's see what our Openclaw metrics look like. So I have linked a helpful starter dashboard in the video description. Feel free to take a look and import it into your Grafana if you are setting this up. So this is the dashboard. As you can see, I had Openclaw tell me a story and it costs this on the screen. We had only one message processed and I can see the distribution of the tokens. I can see what the costs look like over the past 5 minutes. The huge spike is obviously when it's used a lot of context to tell me that long story, and the spiky message is queued as well is when I asked a question. So this is pretty much how you can see how Openclaw is behaving. Obviously this is a rudimentary overview dashboard. You can still dig deeper into what the split of the costs is, but yeah, I hope this is useful. So if you followed all these instructions, you now have Openclaw metrics in Prometheus and Grafana using Alloy. If something doesn't work, you can walk backward. check your Openclaw config and check that Alloy is running on port 4318. Check the Alloy logs and check the metrics and the Prometheus write receiver flag, make sure that it's there. And then also you can confirm the network between the containers. One thing I forgot to mention is that you can also view Alloy using the UI. This is very helpful to debug how metrics are coming in or if anything is going wrong, and you can see what the health of each exporter is and if there are any problems. The graph itself also shows you the architecture you've set up and how metrics flow through your system, which is also super useful. Great. Thank you for watching, and if you subscribed at the 1 minute mark, you have my mother's gratitude and mine. Don't forget, in the next couple of videos, we're going to look at how to monitor logs and traces as well to give you a full view, but we're just starting with metrics for now. Please subscribe. See you in the next video.